Yo, hey, this song for the lovebirds out there, you know what I'm saying? They say you found a wife, you found a good thing, right? Okay. Hey, check this out real quick. Hey!
I never felt this kind of love. Nothing can come in between us. Now I feel so complete. I'm so glad you love me. And I thank the Most High for bringing you in my life.
All praises be to the Most High, higher. In the name of Yeshua, the Most High God, in the name of also Jesus Christ, whom the world calls Jesus Christ, as we know his name is Yeshua. We would like to say, brothers and sisters, hello and a hearty spiritual blessing, and thank you for being what I would call witnesses of a very, very prophetic time. My name is Elder Rawchaa from the Gathering of Christ Church, and we also have Brother Shaphat. Say hello, Shaphat.
Hey, shalom, shalom, everybody.
And you all have seen us together on the Hebrew Bible and Academy News, but I thought that he would like to come in today on this one. We have a very, very, brothers and sisters, a very, very interesting guest this evening who's waiting in the queue. As we all know, Ephesians, the 6th chapter and the 12th verse tells us we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. This guest was brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago by the name of this brother Zachary King, and someone sent us, our church, they gave us some info on Zachary and said, listen, you really need to get this guy on the show. He's bringing some serious understanding of what's going on in the earth concerning the occult, as far as whether or not it exists. Now, brothers and sisters, you know, Satan's greatest trick was to make the world believe he never existed. Well, what if someone, was to come and witness before you who have actually experienced and dabbled many years in the occult? What if someone was to come like Mr. Zachary King and tell you his story from youth, and with this story let you know that there is satanic doorways, so to speak, within our realm, within our society, that those who are looking to oppose the Bible and oppose Christ would have access to. Suppose I was to tell you that as a child, you can open up these doors, and only through the grace of Christ would you be saved, or would your soul be saved? What if I told you that there were groups, hundreds, thousands, operating within our society today as regular people that at night worshiping Satan? After 5 o'clock they drive home, and after a long day's work you may be sitting next to one in your cubicle. Nice guy, a nice woman, maybe some of the nicest people you've ever met. Are you friends with the Satanist? Well, guess what? Brothers and sisters, hey, you just might be and don't know it. Now, the reason we're bringing this forth is not to antagonize or to dispute or debate. Today is just an informative show. Where I grew up at, of course, that would be in North Philly, predominantly what you would call the ghetto or the rural, not rural, but the inner cities. You rarely hear, growing up in the Baptist Church, of covens and groups of Satanists and things of that nature. As a matter of fact, some of us have grew up in a bubble and believe that these things only exist on TV or through Harry Potter or some make-believe like the Wizard of Oz or what have you. Are they prevalent within our society? That's the question. Well, We have a show for about an hour and a half, and we're going to give Mr. Zachary King the floor. And guess what? We'll even open it up for the last 15 minutes for a few questions. But without any further of ado, please, let's bring in Mr. Zachary King. And of course, I have Shapat with me, and I also have Elder and Brother Rawchaa on the line. Okay, if you can, Azariah, can you please bring in our distinguished guest, Zachary King? How you doing, Mr. King?
I'm well. Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. I really thank you, and we appreciate you taking on this invite. Of course, you've heard the introduction. I would like to turn it over to you. If you would like to introduce yourself to our audience. And of course, we have a few questions, but I would like you to just, of course, for everyone out there, there was no prep for this. We wanted to do it straight out of the Spirit. I didn't prep. I never spoke to Mr. Zachary King before. Mr. King, someone reached out to me and said that you must come on the show, and I reached our producers, and they invited you, okay? So you are a witness that you've never spoken with me before. All right. Now, Mr. King.
Yes.
One thing jumped out at me looking at some of your videos that were sent to me is that you had some introduction to the occult at an early age, at the age of 10 almost. If you can, please share with our audience. Our audience are predominantly those who believe in Christ, understand the truth concerning Christ, not mainstream religion, but more so non-denominational, dealing with the Bible literal, okay? The literal interpretation of the Bible is how we understand it. But this story, we like you to bring forth this story because most people believe that Satan don't exist and therefore are naive of his devices he's using against society, those that are in the dark or what you would call not enlightened. Can you please share your story with this audience this evening?
Sure. You quoted one of my favorite all-time quotes at the beginning. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. But there's so many references to the devil, the evil one, the liar, the accuser in the Bible. It's like, well, in my world, it's like, okay, so this is called a cafeteria Christian. You're going to choose, well, I like the dessert plate and I like the fruit, but I don't want the salad or the steak. So, I want to know that there's angels and I want to know that there's a heaven, but I don't like that hell mentioned and the devil part. I'll take that out. And demons, yeah, I don't care about those. And it's like, okay, how are you able to pick and choose what you want to listen to in the Bible and what you don't? Because if you don't believe one part of it, then you don't believe any of it. It is God's truth. It is law. It is fact. And the people that choose, well, I don't want to believe in that because that's scary. Well, I got bad news. The devil believes in you. And if you don't believe in the devil, that gives him carte blanche to attack you all day long. And you will never pray for it. You'll never pray against it because you won't believe it's the devil attacking you. So, having said all that, and we don't believe that we have a fear-based ministry. We bring this message to you to wake you up. It's like you need to know who the enemy is so you can fight against him. You quoted Ephesians 6, which is an amazing scripture. In that it lets you know you are fighting against somebody that's not attacking you with a gun. They're not coming at your house. They're not knocking on your door and letting you know they're there. They're sneaking in because you didn't realize that your son or daughter played with a Ouija board today, or that they went to a tarot reader or to a psychic, and all these things are ways that open doorways. When I was 10 years old, on my first day of school, this kid came up to me and he said, "Hey, would you meet us in the bathroom at the first break?" Okay. So 10:20 in the morning, I'm in the bathroom with 49 other kids, boys and girls, and we go in, we flip off the lights, and we're staring at the mirror, and they said, "We're going to play the Bloody Mary game. you're going to chant this phrase X number of times into the mirror, and if you do it right, the spirit of a burn victim will show up in the mirror. And, this sounded like BS to us. It was like, nothing's going to happen. When we chant, the scary face appears, 49 kids run screaming out of the bathroom. For one child, myself, I'm like, this is the most amazing thing ever. I chanted Bloody Mary a few times, and suddenly there's this scary face in the mirror. There's no one in the bathroom but me. Nobody could be projecting this into the mirror. Now, remember, at 10 years old, you're not the brightest bulb, so you're not realizing if it's in the mirror, it's standing with you, and the reflection's in the mirror. Not thinking that. I'm thinking it's in the mirror. So I got started doing that, plus I was playing Dungeons and Dragons every weekend. And I was always the wizard or the sorcerer in that, thinking magic is the most fun thing in the world. Now, I grew up Baptist, and my parents, I joke a lot of times in my talks, I say my parents were devout Baptists. That means they sent me and my brother to church. They never went. And I asked them, is magic real? Is that something that you can do? And they said no. Like they had not read the 33 verses in the Bible that mention magic and sorcery and divination and all of that. And in the Bible, God tells you don't do these things. Why would God warn you not to do something if it was impossible to do? But they didn't know, and they told me it was impossible. And so after a while, after doing, magic at school, and playing D&D all the time and thinking this is, a lot of fun, it kind of occurred to me that maybe magic was something that I could do in real life. Maybe adults just don't know you can really do it. So I set about to do a magic spell. I thought money would be the easiest thing because no one would get hurt. I don't want to prove magic works by hurting my PE coach, or making my teacher not show up for school on test day, but getting some cash would be fun. And I did a spell for money, and the next day I went out and I found a can of tennis balls with a $5 bill in it. And I thought, all right, that's cool, but that could have been a coincidence. So the next Friday I did the spell again. Saturday I went out and I found a $10 bill on the side of the road. All right, we're getting better, but $15, 8 days, could have been a coincidence. So the next weekend, did it again. This time I did it in the bathroom at home. And I did the Bloody Mary chant in the middle of my magic spell. When the face appeared, I made sure it knew I was doing a spell for money. Next day I went out and I found what looked like Monopoly money rolled up tight in rubber bands. And later that night, I'm at home, everybody's asleep in bed, and I'm under the sheets unraveling all the rubber bands around this Monopoly money. And it looked like Monopoly money because I'd never seen a $100 bill. When I unraveled everything, I had 10 $100 bills. I had $1,000, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that magic was real. This is something I can do, and adults don't know this is real. And even at 10 years old, you realize that knowledge is power. I now have the power to do something that no adult thinks is real. And I thought, this is the coolest thing in the world. I'm going to do this every day for the rest of my life. I know that doing this in 1 year, I'd be worth $365,000. I knew that Lamborghinis cost $265,000. In 1 year, I could be driving a Lamborghini and still have $100,000 left over. Now, remember, again, I'm 10 years old. I'm not thinking that my parents have to take me to the Lamborghini store. I have to explain how I got $365,000. Then I have to get it back to my house. Not thinking of any of that. I've got a 10-year-old's mentality.
Okay. Okay, so where did it go from there?
Well, when I was 12 years old, a friend came back that we hadn't seen in years. We used to play D&D together, and he stopped hanging out with us. Turned out that the 12-year-old kid was a satanic recruiter for a satanic coven. But, we didn't realize that. He came back and he told us about this place where we could go and we could play D&D every weekend, but they thought magic was real also. And so I had to go check these guys out. It turned out that it was a satanic coven, but I didn't find that out right away. These guys got me involved in child pornography, in drugs, in drinking, in smoking, and they got me to want to be a member of the Satanic Coven. I mean, at some point...
Hey, Zach, real quick. Don't lose your place. Where in the world were you growing up? where, okay. Because I know we were shooting marbles between 10 and 12. Where's this?
This is in a really small town in Florida, in South Florida.
A little town. Okay, are you sworn to secrecy or something? You can't say where this town is, or?
I generally don't tell anybody because I still have family there.
Oh, but I can. Let's not assume this little town is probably a hub of Satanists. Probably. Let's not. We can also.
There were, when I went there, when I lived there, there were 2 Satanic covens there. Both covens had anywhere from 100 to 150 members at any given time.
Okay.
For the town to be as small as it was, which we're talking 3,000 to 5,000 people. It's tiny. It's not that tiny now, but to have a coven of 150 members in a town that tiny, that's a gigantic coven. And we had 2. So it's pretty, Satanism there was pretty prolific.
So if someone is recruiting real quick at the age of 12, we can also we should know almost definitely that this is a generational thing going on there. They're teaching children from birth if they're recruiting at 12, wouldn't you say?
I would say that yes to that, but also, Satan gives us gifts. Satan, lets us enjoy the fruits that he gives us. Now, granted that he gives us rotten fruit, and most of us that are eating that fruit don't realize that this is going to kill us, but he, gives you things like, well, here, if you recruit more Satanists, more kids into our coven, we will give you more money. We'll give you some money. We'll give you, the trade, what you give and what you get back is never the same. But when you're a kid, and I got to tell you though, even for an adult, when adults, decide, well, I'm going to sell my soul and I'll be a famous rock star, it's like, it's never equal. What you do to quote unquote sell your soul, which is impossible to do, I got to tell you, but what you do to do that and what they give you in return, it is not the same. And, it's after a while you start to realize, hey, this isn't fair. What I gave up is much more than what he gave me in return. But when you're 12 years old and you're thinking, well, I can have sex if I bring in more kids, I can get money, I can get stuff. If you come from a family that doesn't have much food and suddenly you're eating better than the rest of your family, or you're wearing $300 kicks that no one else in your family can afford, and you've got all this stuff that nobody else has, you're willing to do whatever it is because, you might even come from a family that you feel doesn't love you, doesn't care for you, but these other people, your satanic friends, do. So you're being duped by the devil. He's selling you a bag of lies and you're buying it.
Okay, well, getting back to your story here, you said you were 12. Well, someone at the age of 12 was initiating people or recruiting, and on top of that there was, you mentioned something about child pornography.
I got involved.
In this thing?
Yeah, well, what happened to me is that I was a victim of a sexual assault at the hands of a female teacher when I was 11. And to me, that like pretty much destroyed my joy and happiness. And the only thing that gave me comfort at that time was to do more magic. At 12 years old, when I was in this coven, they told me that what happened to me when I was 11 was atrocious. That should have not happened to anybody, that I lost something that was precious to me, and that I lost my power, and that now I could get my power back. I could now have sex with anybody in this coven that I want. No one can tell me no. I can tell anybody else no that I want to. And to make it even better, they'll film it so I can watch it anytime I want. And if they film it, they could turn around and sell these videos. and make me famous. And so I believed that I'm doing this almost every weekend. I'm getting my power back. I'm having sex, and I'm having a great time, not realizing that I'm being re-victimized almost every weekend. So at the point
where's your parents? Where were your parents during this time?
My parents, two things. One is that my parents both worked. They owned two companies, so they were always working. You know, one of them was always at one of these other companies, so they have employees, so they're managing these companies. Plus, the Satanic Coven I belonged to was popular in our town as far as a lot of people, most adults, did not realize what it was. So a lot of parents brought their kids there because you can get babysitting there almost 24 hours a day. If you have a job that works overnight, you could take your kids to this place and they could spend the night there. If you're not making enough money and you need food, a child could go there and walk away with an armload of groceries. They looked out for people. We had 12 deacons in our church when I was growing up. 11 of my deacons belonged to my Satanic church. And those same 11 deacons were Freemasons at the local, Freemason temple.
Interesting.
So my parents didn't think anything of me going to this place.
Okay, so these were respected, authoritative individuals who were who deceptively found their way into a trusting environment like a church. These are Satanists within the church. Now let me ask you this real quick. I'll let you go with your story. How prevalent you think this is, not just in Florida? How prevalent you think activity like this, where Satanists have actually infiltrated the churches?
It is very, very prolific. There are Satanic covens that all they do, there's a coven called the Joy of Satan. And the Joy of Satan, if you go to their website, they talk about how that the church is an invention of man, and it's just created to steal money from people and make you docile and make you conform to what they want you to be, that, you should just embrace your freedom and go out and do pretty much whatever you want to do. There's no such thing as sin. But all they do as an organization is that they infiltrate and attack the Catholic Church. That's their job. And there's other, if you talk to a lot of churches, a lot of Protestant churches, they will tell you that they have seen Satanists come in the back, even dressed as Satanists or dressed as a white witch, and will sit there and start praying against the pastor or against the minister of music or against, the choir or whatever is happening, and you'll start seeing them mess up and make mistakes during, their talk or, the singing or whatever is happening. And sometimes they notice the witch in the back, and they're able to pray against them or escort them out, or you'll see them get up and run out, but it's a very common problem. And because many people don't know what they're looking at, it would be like myself popping the hood on my car and looking in and somebody saying, "What's wrong with it?" I could not tell you. And, hearing the pings or seeing the smoke come out, I'd have no idea. This is why there's a mechanic. This is why I can pay somebody to tell me what's wrong under my head. But a lot of people would be like that. If they saw a Satanist walking down the street, even dressed as a Satanist, you may not know. You may think anyway that, it's Halloween or going to a costume party, or I wonder what that costume is, I wonder what that means, not realizing this is a Satanist out in the public, just dressed as they're going to dress. Satanism is so prolific in every single state. There are thousands of covens.
Just to have, Zach, real quick, excuse me, just to have our audience become more aware of this, because, of course, to the pure, all things are pure. How would someone recognize this in their everyday life? I mean, when you're taught purity, You look at everything. You don't believe that there's Satanists out there working against you. How would one identify that?
Well,
I mean, how would we know walking down the street or in a supermarket or whatever the case is? Like, you've been in this for a long time, or you were a part of it, and we're going to go into that. But how would one, how would the pure recognize this imposition against them as far as real time?
Well,
how would they recognize what?
When you look at how many Satanists there are in the world, which is an incredible number, Satanism comes down to two basic types of Satanists. Now, there are people that would argue that there's thousands of types, and that's true, there is. But it comes down to atheistic and theistic. Theistic Satanists believe in the devil as a real entity, that God really exists. They usually have a different view of everything than what the Bible presents. The devil has lied about what his position is and how much power he has, and a lot of Satanists believe that at the end of days, Satan will go back up to heaven and take over and kick God out. Okay, good luck with that one. But and then there's the atheistic point of view, which doesn't make sense. Atheistic Satanist doesn't, it's kind of like, wow, how did you even get created if you don't believe in God or the devil? Atheistic Satanist is somebody that believes in the idea that they're against Christianity, they're against moral law, but the Satanist to them was the worst possible thing they could be called. Now, an example of those type Satanists are the Satanic temples that have cropped up all over the nation. They have, one of them has their headquarters in Salem, Massachusetts. As well, I don't know if your listeners are aware of the After-School Satan program, but the After-School Satan program cropped up, and that's, there's 12 different after-school programs around the nation, and they say that if they become successful, that they'll open more around the nation. And those are there's like 3 or 4 of them in California. There's one in Massachusetts, 1 or 2 in Florida, 1 in Texas, 2 of them, I think, in Anchorage, Alaska, or in Alaska. And these are satanic covens that have said that, the Protestants have an after-school program, so we should be allowed also to put in an after-school program. And so they have the after-school Satan. The majority of people that are out and are willing to be shown that, we are Satanists and we exist, most of those are atheistic. And a lot of those would be Wiccans. Wiccans believe in white magic or light magic, which in the Bible, as you'll recall, God makes no difference. There's no distinction between white and dark. All magic is bad. All magic is a sin. But they, like Wiccans, will wear a pentagram earrings, or an inverted pentagram, which is also called the goat's head. It looks like a 5-pointed star. The inverted pentagram is 2 points up and 1 point down. The regular pentagram is 1 point up and 2 points down. They'll wear that in an earring or a medallion, but then Satanists also wear the same thing. And basically, a witch, no matter what you do, because Wiccans believe that they have the hidden knowledge needed to tap into the, let's say when I die, they say that my consciousness will then go to join all the consciousness of all the people that have ever lived that encompass the world. And then they have the hidden knowledge it takes to tap into that consciousness, and that's where their magic comes from. Satanists believe that all magic power comes from the devil. So whether you want to heal somebody or kill them, you need to just worship the devil, and then you can do whatever kind of magic you're going to do. And they think that Wiccans are stupid because they don't understand where their magic power comes from. If you're atheistic, you're usually wearing, like Black Sabbath T-shirts. That's an example. I'm not saying that everybody that wears one's a Satanist, but, a lot of Satanists embrace those. They wear dark clothes. They wear jewelry that you may not know what it is, but when you see it, the hair on the back of your neck stands up. It's just, there's a certain creepiness to the people. They might have grown like their pinky fingernail long and painted it black. These are like basic things that they do. The unfortunate thing is that the theistic Satanists are hidden. They don't want you to know that they exist. They want to attack. They do things in like the government, or they do things with different organizations, and they do not wish you to know that they exist out there. They don't wish you to know that you're being attacked. It's very secretive.
Zach, let me ask you a question, and then I would like to go back to when this started for you, because I really would like the audience to hear this story. Okay, this is what we realized so far, okay, based on, our studies. Obviously, something happened with you at a young age. Our studies tell us that we're not to dabble into certain things like that as far as the Bible is concerned. But, okay, you've seen something in the mirror, okay, as a child. And obviously it was a jinn or some type of spirit that could grant you whatever wish, or it was with you or following you or had some connection with you. A gateway or door was open.
Right.
The other day, right before Thanksgiving, I went to a supermarket, right, to get something, and I noticed someone up in the far corner at the left. He was dressed in all black with a cube on his head, praying over the people inside the supermarket. Are you have any insight on how wizards work? Have you ever heard about that before? Was this one of those working in plain sight, these wizards and sorcerers?
Well, what happens a lot at supermarkets, like for an example would be, I don't know if you have Whole Foods where you are, but Whole Foods, if you read the back of a lot of their products, it'll tell you blessed by a shaman, or blessed with Reiki healing magic or Reiki healing powers. Now, Reiki is magic, and it's satanic, and shaman is a magical person as well. I mean, these are not positions created by God. And if you're going to eat something at one of these places, I used to live in Burlington, Vermont, and there they have a city market, which is a co-op that's downtown, and they used to have people come in and pray over the produce. It's somebody that would come in that's a shaman or does magic of some kind, and they would come in to bless the food. Now, really, when that's happening, when it's not of God, that's a curse. That's not a blessing. So it's like, I would hate to eat something that has been cursed by somebody satanic, and you don't know what the effect of that is going to be. You don't know how bad that can be for you.
So you would assume, like when I seen it, I'm like, well, okay, there's some magic being done over here in these supermarkets, and the majority of people had no idea what was going on. Okay, I'm going to talk about it in a moment. Let's get back to when this started for you. Okay, someone comes to you at the age of 12, all the way up to the time of how long were you on this what you would call it, being a Satanist?
Well, I had like I said, when I was 12 years old, another kid came to me in the coven and said, "Did you know this is a satanic coven?" And I was thinking, I've seen all the movies, and all the movies are creepy. You hear creepy music when you see the bad guy, and the bad guy looks like the bad guy, and the good guy is clearly the good guy, and there was no like good and bad people in this group. They all seem nice. They all seem, so I came to like one of the adults though that I trusted, and I said, "Hey, you're going to laugh, but I heard this was a satanic coven." And he said, "It is." And I was like instantly scared, and I was like, "Am I a member?" He was like, "No, would you like to be?" Well, now this is my mindset at this time, because I know you're thinking, why would you possibly join a satanic coven? Well, I'm smoking cigarettes. I'm smoking cigarettes every day, and if I quit my coven, I'm 12 years old. Where am I going to buy a pack of cigarettes? I'm looking at pornography magazines every day. I'm 12 years old. Where am I going to buy porn? I am getting drunk almost every day. Again, I'm 12 years old. Where am I going to buy booze? I am having sex almost every weekend. If I don't belong to this coven, I'm not going to have sex every weekend.
With who? Well, who
what
are
am I
you doing
do?
this with? No,
everybody
that's
in the...
Zach, you're saying you're having sex every week at the age of 12. With who, adults?
Yes, adults and kids. I was in pornography, so I could have sex with anyone I wanted to. And plus, I was being filmed for a lot of my sex acts, so I'm being filmed with other children. I'm 12 years old. I'm having sex with a lot of kids that are also 12 years old.
Okay, this is illegal. Why? No one was arrested. I mean, what's going on here?
One of the places that I had sex, this was a really large building, and there was cameras pretty much in every room. There was a lot of scenes being filmed all weekend long, and one of the rooms, a person died, and somebody that, as far as I knew, it was a cop. He was dressed like a cop. He was in a uniform. He had his gun belt on. He had the gun. He had a badge. He picked up the person that was dead, threw him over his shoulder, and said, "I'll take care of it," and walked out of the building. So, to me, I mean, it could have been somebody in a costume. At 12 years old, it looks like a real cop to me. You know, and
obviously, go ahead.
I just assumed it was a real cop, and I also assumed that, you know, if I told anybody that I would be shot or kidnapped and killed or something negative would happen to me, because obviously if the cops are there and they know, you know, who can I tell? My parents don't even know what I'm doing. They think that, oh, he's off with a church group for the weekend.
Okay. How long ago was this?
I'm 50
talking about,
years old.
30 years ago? Okay. So,
yeah, this is 1978.
1978. So we can almost be certain that a lot of this is going on today at a what I would say at a higher rate. More people have been initiated into this. More children are being initiated into this. Go ahead.
In Toronto, they just discovered a pedophile ring, pedophiles and child pornography ring. They arrested 365 adults and rescued 400 children. Now, you know when things like that happen, that's usually the tip of the iceberg that they discovered. So how many kids are really being used in kiddie porn? How many adults are there really that are sick perverts out there doing this kind of stuff? If you heard about 775 people or 765 people involved, how many people are really involved that we don't know about?
Oh man! So I mean, I'll tell you this, Zach, real quick here. And see, it's to a point where let's fast track this, okay? Man, the children are going through it. I mean, I can imagine when you look at what's going on with the children being killed, Satanists are in every high position, like it says in Ephesians. Let me ask you this. A lot of people have heard about this online or what have you, and I know it exists because, you know, I've done history, biblical history and otherwise, on the sacrifice to Moloch, Baal, and what have you, which was a satanic covenant or the satanic religion of the ancients. When it comes to what people call human sacrifice, right? Did you ever hear? Now, I've seen something on Oprah Winfrey where this Jewish woman came out and said, "Well, listen, it seems like during the day we were a regular, old, normal Jewish family, but at night, hey, we did satanic things." And the woman admitted she even had to sacrifice a baby, her first baby. And she was recalling that, and through that, she almost had to separate herself into a separate personality to cope with her murder. So I'm going to ask you, you understand, without you compromising yourself here, because I'm going to ask you, how long were you a part of this, and have you ever seen anything remotely close to human sacrifice?
I was involved in Satanism and organized Satanism for a total of 26 years. In my 26 years, I am guilty of 146 assisted abortions.
Okay. You said yourself, you are responsible for how many abortions?
146.
Okay. That means that you were...
I was there. I was the main magic practitioner. As that person, you have to get blood on your hands. It doesn't mean that you are actively killing the baby. There is an abortion doctor there. There's an abortion nurse. There's full-on medical equipment. So it's an actual medical procedure. But I personally believe that the secretary at the front desk of a Planned Parenthood is just as guilty of killing that baby as the doctor that's back there doing it. Everybody that works there shares in that responsibility. Not just the guard that walks that sidewalk outside, the girl that runs the front desk, and the nurse that's in the back that's scraping tissue. All of them are guilty.
So are you saying that abortion is actually, it's rooted in a satanic sacrificial ritual? Is that what you're saying?
Very much. Very much. We have a CD set called Abortion is a Satanic Sacrifice. We have, the disc has 3 parts. The first part is how we got abortion in America, how Margaret Sanger started Planned Parenthood 100 years ago, how that this woman was incredibly racist. She made comments like lighter-skinned races are superior to darker-skinned. She was a regular at Ku Klux Klan rallies to speak in favor of abortion and euthanasia and sterilization. She won an award. She got a medal from Adolf Hitler for her work in the eugenics movement. Other famous quotes of hers is, we want to create a race of thoroughbreds. It's just incredible that she founded Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood gives out a Margaret Sanger Award every year, and that most Planned Parenthoods are in very poor neighborhoods. And it's like their goal when they first started was to eliminate the races that weren't white.
Black people.
And it's like, well, yes, but others as well. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican. They mentioned eliminating pretty much all races that were not white. So yes, black people is one of those, but all races.
Okay, and you said you're Puerto Rican. Your father's Puerto Rican?
My mother's Puerto Rican.
Interesting. Okay. So, Margaret Sanger, a Satanist, right? And you said you had... Okay, I'm listening. No, I'm listening.
Oh, no. Margaret Sanger, very close to being a Satanist. She had ties to Nazi Germany. She had ties to the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, think about who do you think would belong to both of those groups? Nobody.
She also had connection with Aleister Crowley.
Right. Nobody that has moral fortitude of any kind would belong to the Klan. And then we're talking about Adolf Hitler as well. It boggles the mind and it sickens the stomach. In part 2, I talk about the groups that I worked with around the world to move Satan's agenda forward. And in part 3, we tell you through spiritual warfare how to shut down an abortion clinic. And we give you examples of places where these things have worked, where, we give you an idea and then we show you a place where that has worked. So one place that shut down per one idea we give you, and then another place that uses all 4 ideas and they've shut down 25 clinics.
Okay, so you said you had your hand in over 100 abortions. What do you mean by that? What did you do?
My job was to get blood on my hands. So whether that meant that I'm doing whatever it takes to get blood on my hands, which, if you've ever been to a birth, you know that the woman is bleeding quite a bit. So I don't necessarily have to kill the baby, but I have to be there. I'm doing a magic spell.
Okay, so an abortion clinic is inviting Satanists within their building to get blood on their hands knowingly.
Right. Now some of the people, 20 of my abortions took place in abortion clinics. My other 126 took place at private homes, private offices. I did one in a pediatrics office, private, like a doctor's office, things like that. The majority of them happened in private homes, but homes that are set up that are very sterile, that have an actual doctor and nurse, a full medical staff. I mean, it wasn't as safe as an abortion clinic, an abortion procedure could be. It was safe. You know, for you're murdering a baby inside your body. You know, as safe as that can be, it was safe.
Okay, so that's institutionalized, covert sacrifice. Okay, let me ask you this. Outside of that, what about regular human sacrifice outside of Planned Parenthood or abortion clinics or private abortions?
It still happens. It happens more outside of the United States than it does in the United States. But are you familiar? Are you familiar with Pizzagate?
Well, since you mentioned it, the whole world is really aware of it now, and it seems as if the mainstream is trying to spin it, or they're trying to turn it into something. And with this so-called shooter that was supposed to came and all that, they're trying to turn it into more what you would call internet censorship now. But Pizzagate, yes, I'm familiar with it. If you would like to expound and talk to our audience, in case some of our audience haven't heard of it, give us some insight. What's going on with Pizzagate? We know that Hillary, who actually, she did some respectful honor and gave some kudos to Margaret Sanger, the Satanist you've mentioned, and the abortionist and the killer, the eugenicist you've mentioned earlier. Also with she's well ahead of I'm speaking of Margaret Sanger. She was a lead proponent of the lesbian movement and what have you. But all right, so tell me what's going on with that Pizzagate. Come on.
Well, going back to good old Hillary, she won a 2009 Margaret Sanger Award. So, if you don't get that by doing one abortion. You've moved the abortion movement forward by leaps and bounds. Pizzagate is basically, there's code words that describe child abuse, different types of sex acts, and different, like if you want a boy, then it's a certain type of food that's mentioned. If you want a girl, then usually it's pizza. And these were emails and email and Twitter feeds that have gone back and forth with hundreds of people being involved and describing what kind of sex acts you can get performed, who's going to be there, and they would show pictures of underground places, like underneath some restaurants in Washington, D.C. And then somebody would make a comment, oh, it looks like you could store a lot of pizza in there. It's like, why would you have pizza in an underground building? Or they would talk about there's going to be 3 slices of pizza at the pool, and they would give their names and their ages. You just named and aged 3 pizzas? That doesn't make any sense. So somebody broke the code in publicly that they were talking about children and child pornography. And there's multiple references to both of the Podesta brothers and of what they're doing, and pictures circulating the internet. But some of the other stuff that's happening is that not only is it child pornography and sex abuse, but human trafficking, and then cannibalization. Which would explain why they're not finding the bodies of any of these children, other than, it's a lot of government people, government officials that are involved in this kind of stuff. So, I would think that obviously that means that there's law enforcement in somebody's pocket, and, no one's going to get in trouble unless a huge scandal breaks, and who's to say if, people over this are dying. There was the pedophile that died fairly recently, and the coroner that examined him said he died of a heart attack. And then the coroner was found dead, and it turned out he was poisoned with arsenic, which kind of makes you think that the first guy didn't die of a heart attack, and the medical examiner knew the truth.
Okay, that would be that it was a photographer who was found dead in his apartment. I read that story.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because we I hope you have some time, because I know our audience want to speak to you, and I want to really get your story in. But every time you mention something, it jogs another question or another topic in itself.
Okay.
Zach, I want to talk about this because, like I've mentioned earlier, Satan's greatest trick is to have the world, or have the innocent believe he doesn't exist. Obviously, these Satanists who claim to be enlightened are getting their children from somewhere. And usually it's from the innocent who don't know they exist, who don't know that there's towns of covens of Satanists that are looking to prey on the poor, to try to convert the righteous, to try to, in an attempt to spew unbelief or ignorance as a pretext, right before taking their children. So, how do we protect the pure, the innocent? Like, for instance, where I grew up at, okay, Zachary, there's no such thing as covens. Of course, we know there's people that do certain things, like there's people that put roots on people, witchcraft, but there's no community of black people that I know growing up that worship Satan and have child sex rings. So, first of all, I want to go into how we protect our children.
You're in the wrong country for it, because in Africa, you're in the wrong country for it, because in Africa, those sex child rings and the satanic covens exist.
I know there, but I'm talking about in America. How do we protect people? Because we don't know they exist like that, but abortions are exponential within our community. Obviously, something happened where there's been an infiltration that led to child sacrifice rampant amongst our community. You understand? So obviously the imposition is operating unbeknownst to us. I don't mean to make it a black or white thing, but I'm saying, but if we knew this existed, we would take a different approach, don't you think? A different approach would be taken if we understood this.
I think that much of everything is spiritual warfare. I think if we knew the proper way to fight, that we would. I know that with abortion, for example, every year we write laws and send 600,000 people to march in Washington in January for the March for Life. And every year, abortion's still legal. That's why we tell people it is spiritual warfare. You have to fight a spiritual battle spiritually. You cannot fight physically and expect you're going to win. So that's why I said, we give the 4 ways we give to shut down abortion clinics are all spiritual warfare. I think it was the Black Chicago Defender. It was a newspaper that came out back in the probably the 20s or 30s, and a lot of them, Margaret Sanger she wrote a lot of articles for these type things, and in it described that abortion It was talking about birth control, and it said that birth control was not a sin. Birth control was not an abortion. Abortion stops life after it begins, and that birth control just helps manage the size of the family, and that it appealed to people that were lower on the socioeconomic ladder because they're having one child after another, and every time they have another child, they get poorer and poorer. So they would go to the doctor for their birth control. What they didn't realize is that their birth control was an abortion. So they're murdering, their child if they can. And this appealed, and it wasn't just black people that they were appealing to. It wasn't just black people that found it appealing, but they targeted black people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I'm not saying that it's a black problem altogether. What I was mentioning is that some of what I'm hearing of as far as the environment you grew up in would be a fairy tale where I grew up. Okay, and a lot of things happen where I grew up, and I'm talking about bad things, but at least you know what the bad things are. You know about the crack. You know about the drug dealer. You know about those that are not that you have to stay away from. I mean, the imposition against us is prevalent right before our eyes. We know what to avoid. You understand? So, yeah, give me that all day long. Compared to, you understand? I'm living in a town where where children are being abused, killed, destroyed, and being protected by authority. I mean, what world? And listen, I'm speaking rhetorical right now. It's really, I'm not being facetious, but I'm speaking in a rhetorical fashion. We all know that we wrestle not with flesh and blood. We all know that there are covenants, but also those covenants are being protected by a satanic authoritative government. Okay? If a law passed that says that killing children are okay, it's not just relegated to that covenant. It's not just relegated. This is a systematic satanic plan that's rooted within government itself, which is the highest covenant, wouldn't you say? The greatest covenant.
Yes. And the most protected covenant.
Exactly. So now let's go back, because let's get off the abortion thing real quick, because this is quite interesting. I mean, and I'm glad I never talked with you before. I wanted to just have a natural conversation. Supernatural, because most people think that dealing with, that everything is relative. There's no outside influence. You said you have experienced things on the outside of our realm that operated and helped you. Okay, that now, through time, you identified in your adult life as demons, operating with demons. Right. Give our audience an experience, or give them an insight of what you've experienced that will have them know that the supernatural and demonic forces are real. If someone asks you that question, because usually I'll tell you, scientists and atheists and all these other people that deal with Darwinism, or they'll claim, well, listen, it's just about faith with you all. There's no proof at all that any of this God stuff exists, okay? Satan is a figment of your imagination. If Satan isn't in you, so is God. Just be a good person. Really, there's no scientific proof that the supernatural or anything on the outside exists, okay? So you once, I'm glad that you chose the right side, and we're going to talk about how you eventually walked away. How would you let someone know that these things really exist and they should avoid it? Give one of your experiences of the supernatural. Go ahead.
I think the best example didn't happen while I was a Satanist, although I saw a lot of things when I was a Satanist. It's now being a Christian, I get invited on occasion to go to exorcisms. And I sit in the room and I observe, and then as the exorcism either takes place or after it's over, I'm asked my opinion of certain things that the demon-possessed person said, or claims they made, or things that happened in the room. And I saw a guy that was chained to a chair. And during this exorcism, he broke his chains like they were nothing, like they were spaghetti tied to his wrists. He just broke through them like they were nothing. I've seen people levitate. I've seen tiny women that weighed like 90 pounds soaking wet pick up gigantic guys and throw them around a room. I've seen that same person levitate. I saw somebody, they were surrounded by a group of men. She jumped over them. Like from a standing position, she jumped over them. She cleared an entire group of, like, we're talking about 12 men. She cleared all of them to get to the priest. She picked the priest up by his collarbone and threw him about 20 feet. He hit the wall and broke his wrist. I don't see where that could be something that could happen normally. Something that I didn't observe, but from a trusted source, I heard of a guy that levitated a foot off the ground and then out of his bedroom down a hallway to another part of the house and stopped levitating when he hit the joist between the wall and the ceiling. You know, it's like, you know, a lot of people say, well, they're schizophrenic, and it's like, no, levitation is not a sign of schizophrenia. You know, signs of possession are levitation, having knowledge that you couldn't possibly know. Like they would know what you did on your first date with your very first girlfriend when they couldn't possibly know that, and it's not something you would tell anybody. You know, they have unusual powers, unusual like strength, or they can speak a foreign language that they couldn't possibly know. Like, you know, there are some people, you know, you went to school with, you know, they didn't even take Spanish in high school, you know, and somehow now they can speak Aramaic fluently. You know, Aramaic was the language that Jesus spoke, so, you know, they can speak Aramaic fluently, you know, and it's like, okay, something's going on there. So, you know, there are just certain signs, certain traits that somebody that's possessed can do that the rest of us can't do.
Okay. Well, I want to say this to brothers and sisters. We have Zachary King on, giving us his experience. Of course, he's been, through the Spirit of God, he has been delivered from some oath that he had since youth with Satan. And we're going to talk about that. Let's go back. And let me make this clear. Satan and his demons they have no power over those who are in Christ, or Yeshua, or whom some call Jesus or Yehoshua. His name is Yeshua in the ancient Hebrew. So this is nothing to be afraid about. I just want brothers and sisters to be aware that this exists, so we'll understand the forces that's against us. Okay, these demons, these spirits, are cowards. Okay, that's why they have to work in the dark. They have to work without your knowledge. Okay, but if you are aware and you are in Christ, you have nothing to fear. Let me ask you this, Zach, real quick. Okay, you're a child. Obviously, every law in the book, it was broken in the town you grew up in, right? So, and let's talk about this. I mean, did you sign a contract in blood? How did you do this? You become a Satanist. What you do? How did you get in? And how did you get out?
Well, when I turned 13 years old, and I was given the option to join Satanism, be an official Satanist if I wanted to. So what I had to do was I had to slice my left thumb and bleed onto a document. And the document, I had to sign it 3 places in my blood. The blood of Jesus washes away all sin, but not mine. Jesus died for everybody, but not me. And on the final page of a 5-page document, I agreed to sell my soul to the devil. The next day, the entire coven has met for this, so there's like about 150 people in a room, and there's a big vat of human blood, pig's blood, and human urine, and I'm in a white robe. They do a baptism, So full submersion in that signifies that you're losing your innocence and being in the white robe. I go into another room and I take a shower. I come out in a black robe with the cowl raised, signifying I've been baptized into a world of evil. I sit in a chair and I'm given a wheel, a metal wheel with a crucifix in it. I spin the crucifix upside down, and it signifies human sacrifice. They read off the document I signed the night before. I show everybody my thumb so they see that I did slice my own thumb. It's my blood. And then I break the arms downward on the crucifix, and it signifies that you're denouncing Christ. And then we have a party celebrating that I'm a Satanist. Although the reality of that is I'm celebrating one day I'm going to die and go to hell. I was in this coven till I was 18. I graduated from high school, and I eventually found the second coven that I wanted to be in. It's Worldwide Ties, and my second coven had, now I joined in 1984, but in 1989, it had 1.1 million members worldwide. So a much bigger coven. And I became the position, 1.1 million members.
Okay, go on.
I became, the position I attained was called a High Wizard. The High Wizard is, my second coven was run by a CEO and a board of directors. The High Wizard, you're not the only one. There's multiple High Wizards, and they do the official magic for the coven. So if somebody comes in and says, I want a magic spell and I'm willing to pay $1 million to get it, then it's the High Wizard that comes in and does their magic spell for them. You know, my first coven was run by high priests and priestesses. In my second coven, those positions hold no power because you could self-appoint yourself as the high priest. You know, if you started a coven of your own and no one would join it and you were the only member, that makes you the high priest. So, and you started that yourself, you know, so you have no authority in my second coven. That we had probably thousands of high priests and priestesses, but you know, they would join, tell who they were, and, you know, people would be like, okay, whatever, you know, but it doesn't mean anything. It'd be almost like getting your college degree in a foreign country where we can't actually get results and find out that you really went to this university because there's no proof that the university exists or that you got a degree there. So, you know, or having a job someplace where they can't call and verify that you had a job there. So I became the High Wizard. I came out of that when I was about 33 years old. I had it from the time I was 21 till I was 33. I realized at some point that the only way to escape Satanism was to die. You know, you could commit suicide, you could be murdered, or you could die of natural causes, but all three of those end with me being dead and ending up in hell. And I didn't want any of these options. I ended up escaping. I moved to Burlington, Vermont. When I escaped, I ended up in Oklahoma. I didn't know anybody in Oklahoma. And I didn't want to join an official coven, but I was addicted to magic, so I still did that. But in Oklahoma, you have to be very secretive because it's the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. So, you know, they're very Christian, and you don't want to alert any suspicion. Then when I moved to Vermont, they're very pagan. They are the least religious state in the nation, and by religious they mean Christian, because there's lots of pagan religions there. They're very acceptable. You can be a druid if you want to, and you can be a druid out in the open. You know, you can wear your ceremonial robes out in public, and no one judges you for it. So, you know, I was able to practice magic out in the open, and I did that until January of 2008.
Okay, so you were out of it, and okay. So let me ask, because usually with these things, there's some type of oath you make to others. Were they afraid that you would expose some of what you've experienced throughout the decades in this thing? Because obviously, you could compromise a lot of wickedness.
I don't think that they were scared that I was going to expose anything. I think that I was scared that they were going to kill me. That's when I left. I went into hiding. I was scared of what they might do to me, and I didn't want anyone to know who I was, what I had done. I mean, when I got to Oklahoma, I lied about my past. When I got to Vermont, again, I lied about my past. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't care if they knew that I did magic when I was in Vermont. That was fine. There were so many magic circles there. I was able to get involved with a lot of different groups and a lot of people. But I cared that no one knew that I come from an organized satanic cult, because my cult, my second one, was so big and it had so many names to it that you could belong to it and not know. You could be in a different state, belong to some coven that has some crazy name to it, and you never know that it's one of the names of this coven. And I just didn't want to be discovered.
Let me say this, Zach, because it's deep that at a certain age you have to sign over, and with this oath or with this agreement, which we know means nothing if you are in Christ. But
right.
With this oath you made before you understood what you were getting into, that they initially looked to disconnect you from it. The aim is your disconnection from Christ. And it's like, if we can get you to denounce it's as if they understand that's the only protection
right.
We have. And I'm looking at some of these religions out there, like Islam, that disrespect the power of Christ, like Egyptology and all these different religions that uphold magic but cringe at the thought of a savior or someone dying for the sins of people. I don't see much difference between that oath that you made in ignorance with this Satanist coven and these particular religions. Do you believe that these religions like Islam, these Egyptologists, and all these things who say what Christ didn't exist and all that, do you believe these are also Satanist covens?
I do. There's actually one of the chief exorcist in Rome has stated that ISIS and ISIL, all the people that belong, are demonically possessed. And it makes sense because these people that belong to these things, not only do they rape and murder women and young girls, they rape women, make them pregnant, and then at times they let the woman give birth, and then they murder the baby outside the womb, or they let the woman give birth, raise their daughter, and then rape them and murder them. One of the common stories is that they take a woman that's pregnant, like really pregnant, and tie her to a tree, cut her belly open, and let wild animals devour her. Who else but a Satanist would do something like that? It almost goes back to who but a Satanist would belong to the Ku Klux Klan and be a Nazi?
Let me read you something, because it's time that we blow a lid off all of this as far as at least putting the truth out there. You understand? Now, I understand you're looking to protect yourself. You have respect of the town you grew up in. I'm not going to ask you to do that. You understand? You can do that whenever you feel the need to really come out and say, you know what, I don't want no people in this town to go through what I went through. But that's your decision. But I want to talk about this, right? I read some information on Henry Makow. I don't know if you know. Have you heard of Henry Makow, PhD?
The name's familiar. Go ahead.
Okay. He mentioned something that lets us know that there's some religious Satanists that are operating in high positions. I'm just going to read something. You can tell me what you think. He says, I'm talking about myself. This is Henry Makow. I'm not interested in distinction between Luciferian and Satanist until the age of roughly 50, the age you are around now. He says, I was another mass-produced Luciferian Jew or Zionist, whether it be liberal, socialist, feminist. Luciferian Jews are revolutionaries, people who deny and often defy God by overturning his design, the natural and moral order of the universe. They have defined the modern world, which is built on the ruins of religious superstition. He says, I was 17 in 1966 and swept up in the anti-war movement. The American invasion of Vietnam was a heinous injustice that discredited everything the U.S. pretended to present. And he started going into Disney and the Disney orgies and with children and all that was Zionist controlled, and which were really the head of a lot of these satanic covens. Even Christ says in Revelations 2:9 and 3:9, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Are all Jews Satanists? No. Are all Jews pedophiles and rapists and are in line with Satanism? Absolutely not. But would you say that there is a circle of powerful men who are Zionists or Jews that are also a part of this satanic agenda against Christ and those that and against those that are pure? Would you say that there's a circle of Satanists who are Jews that are operating in this earth?
Yes, but you can't say that it would just be Jews. I mean, there are.
Okay.
I will give you that it is very rare that you see a black Satanist. That is rare.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of black Satanists.
But there are a lot of black Satanists, and there's a lot of white Satanists, and there's a lot of Hispanic and Mexican. One of the other things that people don't realize, and a lot of Satanists would argue this, but all Satanism is connected. Wiccans don't believe in God, the devil, heaven, or hell. That doesn't make them any less Satanists than the overt Satanists that do believe in the devil, and actively worship the devil. Atheistic and theistic Satanists, it doesn't make a difference if you believe in God or you don't. If you believe in the devil or you don't, that doesn't make it less satanic. Are you familiar with Santeria?
Yes. Yes,
Santeria,
I'm familiar with it.
For your listeners that don't know, Santeria is a combination of Catholicism and voodoo. And it in their religion, it's okay to take saints that aren't really saints, but they will take like Saint Lazarus. In the Catholic Church, Saint Lazarus is not a saint. So they worship Saint Lazarus, but they're not really worshiping Saint Lazarus. They're worshiping a demon, and they're giving him Saint Lazarus' name so that they can worship the demon in public, and no one judges them on it because you think, oh, they're praying to Saint Lazarus. Catholics do this; they pray to saints. So obviously they're praying to Saint Lazarus. And if you're not Catholic, and sometimes if you are Catholic, you don't know who all the saints are. So Saint Lazarus, okay, sure. He was a member in the Bible. We remember. Everybody remembers Lazarus. Lazarus ended up in heaven for being a good man, when the rich man ended up in hell. And, everybody thinks, oh, they're Catholics, it's okay. And it's like, well, they're not Catholics. They're practicing voodoo, and they're doing this out in the public. Now, I live in a small town now. I mean, it's bigger than the town I grew up in, but it's fairly small. We probably have, I'm going to guess, between 10 and 20,000 people there. And in our small town, which probably has a lot less than 20,000 people, we have 4 Santeria shops. And we only have 4 churches in the entire town. And we have 4 different denominations. We have 4 different denominations, 4 churches. We got 4 Santeria shops. And for there to be enough money to support one Santeria shop, that's a lot of people. But to support 4, that's crazy. We don't even have 4 grocery stores.
Okay. Well, of course, we all know, Mr. King, that Satanism is prevalent throughout all society, and that every society, regardless of culture, race, and there's only one path back to the Most High God, and that's through His Son, Christ, Yeshua, the Savior. But all in all,
right.
What we can't ignore, and I would like you to give some expound on this, is the government-instituted sacrifices, like the Pentagon is in the shape of the five-pointed star, like you've mentioned earlier, the sacrifice that's done under that particular star. Also, when we look at the past, speaking of the Rawchaas, the Rockefellers, you would know about the Rockefeller Foundation that funds the eugenicist program that we speak of concerning Margaret Sanger. So Margaret Sanger, yeah, we all ascribe the eugenics movement and the ideology to her. Her ideologies would be nothing without being funded. So we have to understand that there's a people, okay, that are operating. Now, not all of them, but we all know the Rothschilds and Rockefellers are Zionists, and they have the power and the finances that can influence their witchcraft on a way higher level than those operating with Santa Maria or in a town of a coven. Okay, they control the Federal Reserve, the finances. They control, you understand, they control the airwaves, the media. They control religion to some degree. So I believe that we have to expose, and I know you would agree, Satanism on every level. Okay, before the end. That man of sin must be revealed on every level. Can you expound on some of that?
I agree that it all needs to be exposed. One of the problems that stems from exposing, though, and this comes down to most people in this country believe that when you start opening these doors, that you're a conspiracy theorist. And there's such a negative connotation that goes with that. Much of the conspiracy theories are indeed conspiracy facts. There's such, like I said, there's such a negative connotation that goes with it. When you're describing the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, to me, you're not really talking about the Zionists, you're talking about the Illuminati. And the Illuminati.
One and the same with my research.
I worked for the Illuminati for 12 years. I was in direct contact with certain members that I saw on a regular basis. Now, I was in contact with two guys named Mr. Black and Mr. White on a regular basis. The weird thing about Mr. Black and Mr. White is that every time I saw them, Mr. Black could be anybody. It's like this guy would show up and, he'd introduce himself. I'm Mr. Black. And it's like, how many brothers do you have? Because I've met, 27 guys named Mr. Black. And they don't answer any questions. They're there to hire you to do stuff. And, like one of their jobs is helping people, quote unquote, sell their souls to become famous. Rock stars out in California, or actors, things like that. And, that's, they would work with, there's a satanic cult out there named the Cult. And the cult uses the Illuminati, or the Illuminati uses the cult, whichever way that goes. They hire high wizards. The high wizard comes in and determines who wants to sell their soul, who wants to be famous. And I never worked with, as far as I know, there's stereotypical traits to different groups. Different ethnic groups have stereotypes, and many times the stereotype is true. So we get every one of us. I think myself, I'm Puerto Rican. One of our stereotypes is that we always bring knives to a gunfight. But that's a common thing. We do bring knives to a gunfight. Who knows why that is? Maybe because knives are cheaper and easier to get. I don't know. But, these stereotypes can be to be associated with any race, any group. So as far as the Jewish stereotypes go, I never worked with anybody that to me hit a stereotype of being Jewish. They look a certain way. I've never run into somebody that looked like a Jew was supposed to look, or had a last name that sounded Jewish. However, I did work with people of every races, every ethnicity in the Illuminati, not Jews. I actually as far as I know, as far as I'm aware of, now they could have, and a lot of times Zionists are not really Jews. They claim to be a Jew, but they're not. I never worked with somebody that I knew was Jewish. That was one of the things that I told somebody in an interview years ago, that as far as I know, I had never met a Jewish Satanist. I'm sure it exists, but not in the circles that I worked in.
Okay, all right. Well, real quick, we're about to go to commercial. We're going to come right back with questions. But before this, we have Mr. Zachary King giving us his experience, his personal experience, and his, he's revealing this to the world. He's letting everyone know that he was once initiated into a Satanist childhood and spent many years operating in a coven and actually had blood on his hands with child sacrifice, but renounced that, repented, and is now, using his testimony to bring people not only to the knowledge of the truth concerning Christ, according to his walk. He's also, what he's doing is warning people against such activity, that Satanism really exists and that it's not a figment of our imagination. It's real and prevalent amongst our society, and it's our job and it's our position in Christ to reveal the spirit of darkness that is operating amongst the righteous, the pure, the innocent. Let me talk to you about something real quick before we go to commercial. If you don't mind, you can stay in at least 15 minutes more. You can explain a few more things and answer a few questions. The lines are blinking off the hook. All right now.
Okay.
So I know our audience would like to speak with you. Also, you can when we come back, make sure you go into where people can find you, what information you have, whatever you like to talk about as far as going forward. Our brothers and sisters will be more than happy to hear where your site is and other details others may have out there. Maybe someone want to come, have you come on their show, whatever the case is. So you would give us some info on how to, contact you. Now,
okay.
This is what I've experienced personally. We have a church, the Gathering of Christ Church, and many people have reached out to us, Zachary King. If you don't mind me calling you Zach for short.
No, whatever.
Okay. Many people have reached out to us. Okay, and of course, I'm at liberty to speak about certain things that were spoken to me in private. One of the members of the group, I don't know if you heard about it. There was a black R&B group called Drew Hill. Okay.
Yeah, I know
the name is exactly. Now, one of the members in 2009 reached out to me and had a conversation. I was in the music business a long time, right? And I was in the business for a while, but I was talking with him, and this is after Christ had revealed the truth to us. We began to do our ministry throughout the earth. And one-on-one, he said, well, listen, it would probably scare the, quote-unquote, as he put it, the bejesus out of you if you really understood how records are really sold. It has really less to do with talent, because talent is everywhere. He says there was a floor in the building in New York where some of the greatest wizards reside. He says, and there was this floor that no one can go into. And he says, one time I went there, I was in the building on this floor. There was a black door in this regular music business building, and he says he would see this guy going back and forth out of into this place, praying over their records or their masters. And right. I'm like, well, give me some, I heard about this before with Aleister Crowley and what have you, and how the music business is rooted in Satanism, and certain vibrations are going out, casting a spell on the world. Of course, I knew about some of that. And a lot of us come out of the church and we sell our souls to some degree, sign into some of these companies. There's a whole nother radio show we need to have. But all in all, he said this. He says the guy that went down there to pray over the records was a Jewish rabbi. He was dressed like a Jewish rabbi, the all black and all that. And he would go in and pray over the masters. Now, this wasn't Aleister Crowley. This was a regular old rabbi that you would see in your normal synagogue. Now, I don't want to point to just Jewish people, because I don't believe that just they're Jewish people that just. But you have to realize that that's an element within society that's being ignored. That there are at the highest rungs of Satanism those that are Jewish with power and influence. You understand? And that this activity,
I'm not denying.
And that, okay, I'm just saying that because it seems as if we were moving around. I want people to know where it is every place. In our ghettos, whether it be amongst the Puerto Ricans, whether it be amongst Jewish people, whether it be at a covenant that's created, that's operating in Florida. We need to let our people know that this thing is operating at every level and throughout every society without ignoring anyone that's a part of this Satanist agenda. And we need to expose this behavior, right? So I just want to put that out there. All right, we're not here to attack Jewish people or nothing like that. We're here to reveal the truth. And if there's Jewish people that are against Christ, of course they would be against us. If they don't believe in Christ, those that are against Christ are no different than those that have joined that covenant and are against Christ. Right? I wanted to put that out there. All right? So, I'm going to give you the last word on where we could reach you. Give us the whole thing. What else you want to say? Anything else you would want to say, even in response to what I've just said, if you would like. And then we're going to open up the lines. Zachary King will be here to answer questions for the next 15 minutes. All right. The floor is yours, Mr. King.
All right. If you're interested in coming to look at my website or to order, we have a lot of materials, CDs and DVDs, informational stuff, some T-shirts. You can come to allsaintsministry.org, allsaintsministry.org. If you want to ask me a question, you can email me at mysticforgod@yahoo.com, mysticforgod@yahoo.com, and that's FOR, not the number 4. And my phone number, and it's a ministry phone number, but this dials directly to my phone. It's 802-578-6554. It's 802-578-6554. And I also have WhatsApp. So if you're in a foreign country and you have WhatsApp, you can still reach me. That is as well my phone number for WhatsApp. Also, I have a YouTube channel. If you go to my main page of my website, you'll see a YouTube link. I have about 50 videos that answer common questions that I get at every talk, every conference. We still have about 50 videos left to do. And we also have a lot of other interviews that are posted. So some of my interviews are very explicit. They go into a lot more graphic detail on some things than I went to on here. And they are labeled as adult content or graphic content, something like that. So, I mean, some of those children should not listen to, but everything else is fair game. And if I can possibly help you in any realm that's associated with this, even if, you happen to know somebody that you think might be possessed, or you think you might be possessed or oppressed or have an infestation at your house or something going on with that, I work with people around the world. I can probably get you some help.
All right, brothers and sisters, that's Zachary King giving his story, and I'd like to thank you for actually bringing this story, to the light, and to get brothers and sisters, to have brothers and sisters aware all over the earth that Satan is real, but there's power. We have in understanding his agents, his ministers, and through prayer in Christ and the belief in Yeshua, Christ, the anointed, the righteous, the remnant can have the victory. Okay. Hold tight, and we'll be right back, brothers and sisters. Hold tight. We're going to open up the lines for Zachary King. Hold tight.
If you have serious health challenges or just want a full-body tune-up, then pay a visit to Rawchaa-naturally.org. Rawchaa means bless and heal in Hebrew, and this is exactly what our holistic natural approach to health will do for you. Your body has been designed by the Most High to correct and heal even the most severe illnesses using full body cleansing and detox protocols in combination with whole foods, herbs, natural supplements, pure drinking water and a stress-reducing lifestyle, positive thoughts and prayer. We use tried and tested natural methods to identify and address any health challenge using a simple, easy-to-follow, personalized health program designed specifically for you. We can offer an initial 1-hour health session followed by a full 28-day follow-up plan, which includes support by email, Skype or telephone. Further ongoing support is available as required to assist you on your health journey. We can provide you with the health and lifestyle education that will position you on the road to excellent health. So if you have tried all the hype, medicines, doctors and drugs, and failed to get the results you need, it's time to do something different. Why not use a proven natural healing program that has provided great results for many that have used it? We're not here to sell you supplements, we're here to show you how to get your health back and keep it. Go to barackapahnnaturally.org, spelled www.barackapahnnaturally, naturally.org.
Praise the Most High for this very golden moment. I thank Him for keeping my eyes open when the enemy blinds and tries not to close them. Even though my heritage is stolen, I'm holding on to the words of the truth. It's about that time for us to wake up the youth so they can realize what these false people do. Keep the Most High in your mind, He guides you. Praise the Most High, cause there's no one else above Him. Keep His 10 commandments and laws if you love Him. Doing what you know is right in the name of Christ. Living in the Spirit, the Holy Ghost life. No longer in the flesh, my robe is all white. Temptation's trying to taint me, yeah right. Brothers and sisters, the time draws near. So for those that have ears, please let them hear. Shemaya, Sharala, Ahaya, Alahaya, Nawa, Ahaya, Akar. Shemaya, Sharala, Ahaya, Alahaya, Nawa, Ahaya, Akar. But an angel's voice from heaven had the gospel that was preached, and they wouldn't harm the earth until they gathered all the sheep. They wouldn't harm the earth until His children should be sealed. And that wicked one, Satan, prince of darkness, is revealed. The truth is from the Father. His will is that we teach that His people in the earth that were scattered and called lead are the people of the Bible. They are kings and they are priests. Through the promises of Abraham, the land is what we see. Israel. It's a shame. My thoughts so cloudy in the words of the rain.
Okay, brothers and sisters, we're back with our distinguished guest, Zachary King. All praises be to the Most High, Ahaya, Bashmi Yeshaya, Rawchaa in the ancient Hebrew. That's the Most High God, in the name of Christ, through the Holy Spirit. We're here with Zachary King, giving us his testimony, his experience, and also he's warning the world that, especially children out there, not to take that same path down unrighteousness, down the path of unrighteousness, to stand up and choose the right side of this, which is Christ. Now, I wanted to mention this real quick, brothers and sisters, that our academy will start December 25th. Okay, we're not dealing with Nimrod's Day. We're not dealing with Christmas. Okay, we're dealing with our normal day where we'll begin our academy, and of course, a lot of good information is coming out. We have 6 new lessons. We're actually going to go into the secrets of the time and other new lessons this coming academy. Please, don't try to rush in the last moment. We have administrators working around the clock. please, if you want to, be a part of this, send an email to gatheringas1, the number 1 at AOL.com. We'll let you know exactly how to enroll. Or go to gatheringofchrist.org and hit the tab, the Bible Academy, okay? And we'll be more than glad to welcome you this December 25th. This academy has been the best we've had so far. It's a 3-month program, and what we're going to do, we're going to run concurrent with this 3 months, also a leadership program that Elder Rawchaa will actually teach to get brothers and sisters ready to lead, to stand in this day with Christ, with the true understanding of the Bible. And of course, we have our distinguished guest, Mr. Zachary King. We were speaking and talking about his experience of growing up, being initiated into a coven, operating with Satanists unbeknownst within his town, dealing with what you would call extra spiritual phenomenons outside of our realm, making a pact with Satan only to walk away with no fear to serve Christ, okay? And I wanted to mention this according to the Bible. This is why so many of these Satanists and this world is against the Bible, because the Bible, especially the Old Testament, exposes this behavior. And Satan came to destroy, to take this understanding from you and make you believe that Christ was against the laws that were written in the Old Testament. Okay, that was a satanic device. Keep in mind, Satan himself came to destroy and to divide and make you believe that Christ was entirely different than the Most High God of the Old Testament, when he was fulfilling what was written of him in the Old Testament and confirming his power that's written in the Old Testament. Even in the Old Testament it reads, and this is why Satanists and atheists and Darwinists are against the Bible and say that the Bible is just a history. It's not even a history book. It's just a book written by man trying to downplay its power. Brothers and sisters, this Bible is like a cross to vampires. Okay, it's Satan's cross. It's Satan's cross to vampires. You can believe that. You use this Bible, you can tear down Satan himself. Exodus 22:18 reads, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." So, of course, witches would get in authority and say that, guess what? The Bible is just a book. It's just a book written by man. Why? Because it exposes witches. It tells you that witches shouldn't live. Now, of course, through Christ, like any other Satanist, or if you dove into the occult, you can repent and come back to the Most High. But if you die a witch, you will go to hell, according to the Bible. Deuteronomy 18:10 on down reads, these laws were given to the children of Israel, God's people. "There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch." So the Bible is letting us know that we shouldn't sacrifice our children to these gods. Now, of course, we have a witness today of a young man who was a young man, Mr. Zachary, who went through this, and as a young child, they're looking and aiming their imposition, their program against the children. We must protect them and make them aware that Satanists exist, that they cannot celebrate Halloween. They must get away from all things pagan and come back and follow the right way, follow the laws of God, follow Christ's path. It says here, it says, "There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh her son or daughter to pass through the fire, or use divination, observer of times, or enchanter, or a witch, a charmer, a consulter with familiar spirits." That's going together and enchanting anything you would like. You are actually conjuring a familiar spirit, according to the Bible. Without the Bible, you wouldn't know this. It says here, or a necromancer, someone that can give you insight as far as a teller and giving you information, or a medium to demons. All right, you stay away from that. Okay, these are all doorways. You're opening up a door to Satan. "Thou shalt be perfect," the 13th verse, "with the Lord thy God." See, staying away from this, you're perfect with the Most High God, following the way of Christ, Yeshua. "For these nations which which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times, and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God have not suffered thee to do so. So all the other nations during the time of Moses were working with these evil spirits. Okay, but that wasn't called, that platform was not meant for the righteous. So brothers and sisters, use this Bible. This is your protection, and be saved. When I say be saved, this is a different type of saved. Okay? We know that no one is saved unless you endure unto the end. Christ says, ye that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Take up your cross and follow me daily. You must be baptized and come back to the truth. Outside of mainstream religion, outside of paganism, come back to the truth of the God of this Bible. Come back to the truth of Christ. And through the Spirit of the Most High in Christ, the gathering of Christ is a righteous way of getting back on that path. To the Jews first, to the Israelites, and also the Gentiles. Okay, Mr. King, that ends our announcements for now. Can you take a few calls? Are you ready?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Here we go. We have a brother Shapat, brother Mark. He's from England. He would like to ask you a question here.
Hi, Mr. King. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for such insightful. I was just amazed on some of the information coming out this evening. It's wild. It's a wild time. I guess even more so for you, reliving the memories. Mentioning this on the radio show. I have some comments and a question, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. The comment really was just in relation to again, the information. I mean, I tried to take some notes, in terms of the spells and how real it was from your experience, and then the later in life you was involved with the assisted abortion as a magic practitioner. In your earlier years dealing with Satanism, and the covens, I guess, the child pornography and things of that nature, and the filming it as well. To my head, it sounded like Pizzagate, and then lo and behold, you actually mentioned that, which was kind of crazy. So all of that to your regular person who's not looking or seeking some level of truth, you understand, to your regular person who watches mainstream media news, the things you were mentioning this radio show would seem, quite honestly, quite far-fetched or like a conspiracy theory. But we know, and I know you know, that is very far from the truth. You would agree, right?
Yes.
Right, great. So it was a little bit, just a little bit upsetting to, I guess, initially kind of be steered or directed to that path of conspiracy theory once we mentioned the role that not all Jewish people play, but a certain cabal of what some people call globalists, people like Alex Jones, or Illuminati, and things of that nature, Club of Rome. There's so many names, but their religious, political name is Zionism. That was just a comment I wanted to say, that on one hand, the wealth of information you presented, which I don't dispute that's fact and real. Some could look at that as a conspiracy theory. Just equally, the connection that a whole host of other groups, it's not just the Zionists, but they are a key part, along with other groups, you understand, and names associated with those groups, Satanist, Illuminati. But that is a part. It was a little bit disheartening to potentially see that be directed into the realm of conspiracy theory. That was just a comment I wanted to say. But my question, and this is really the key thing here, is, you've had such an experience from a satanic religious point of view, and you're now on a mission for Christ to expose what happened in the past, and hopefully push people to the right direction, which is great. Now, with that, in terms of our church, generally speaking, and especially as Elder Rawchaa mentioned, we have an academy, and one of the lessons is showing that, it's more so, once you really understand, it's not necessarily people in Islam that you really need to worry about dealing with that real battle, the spiritual battle. It's not necessarily those, because they don't even deal with Christ. There's a scripture that says, Matthew 24 and verse 5, for many, this is Christ in response to his disciples asking him, we know Christ, there's a spiritual warfare, we know this. How do we know to battle, and what's going to be the signs of your return? First response Christ gives, not wars, not the Satanic temple, not Islam, not Pizzagate, none of these things. The first thing, many, take heed no man shall deceive you, and many shall come in my name, saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So my question based off of that is, do you think there is elements of this satanic practices in all what is deemed worldly religions that are worldly established and readily available no matter where you go in the earth, in all Christian churches, including the Roman Catholic Church?
I think that any church that has the element of man can be fallen in some way. There was a pope. This is a long time ago. Remember, we've got 2,000 years of popes, but probably a few hundred years ago, we had a pope that said the smoke of Satan has entered the church. But he didn't mean that year. The smoke of Satan entered the church, when Judas betrayed Jesus. That was clearly the smoke of Satan. So it's and Satan existed way before Jesus was here, at least on the earth. So, and as far as Protestant religions go, there's 42,000. All of them claim they have the truth, but how many versions of the truth are there? If you're going to talk about relativism, then what's true to you isn't true to me. But according to the Bible, relativism doesn't exist. There's truth and there's not. There's truth and there's a lie. So 42,000 Protestant denominations all claim they have the truth, but they couldn't all have the truth, and all of them believe in something different. The Baptists don't believe like the Presbyterians don't believe like the Methodists don't believe like the Lutherans, and yet all of them claim that they are the one true faith. So I do believe, I do believe that there is one true faith, but I believe that there is going to be people from every denomination, well, within reason, for every denomination that are going to make it into heaven. There are some good Jehovah's Witness people, but the Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that Christ is God. And it says clearly in the Bible that the only way to get to God the Father is through Jesus Christ. Now, they have a strange belief. They believe that Jesus Christ and St. Michael the Archangel are the same person. And they prove this. Remember that their Bible has been reworked to mimic their religion. So whatever they believe, they've rewritten their Bible so it matches their beliefs. But the general person that's a Jehovah's Witness doesn't know that. They think that this is the original Bible. They believe that Jehovah's Witnesses, even though their founder was Charles Taze Russell, lived in the 1800s. He said that the first Jehovah's Witnesses were those that were at Pentecost, and they were his disciples, his apostles, were the original were Jehovah's Witnesses. They believe that there's a verse that says that Jesus has his own army of angels, and there's a verse that says St. Michael has his own army of angels, and so they deduced that there couldn't be two armies of angels. Now, the last Jehovah's Witness that mentioned that to me, I said, well, we have the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. That's 4 different armies, and each one of those armies has different armies underneath them. So why couldn't it be two different sets of two different armies of angels? You know, but I think that, you know, there are some very decent people within Jehovah's Witnesses that stand a chance of getting into heaven, even though, I mean, God judges our hearts. You know, okay, I am not the person. I am not the person that can tell somebody, sorry, you don't deserve to be there, because there is that verse that says, judge not lest you be judged, based on the amount that you judge. I do not wish to tell somebody they can't enter and have Jesus tell me, sorry, you can't enter. That's how you judge this group of people.
Okay. All right. So Mr. King, good answer, but we're going to bring in Elder Rawchaa, and then we're going to go down the line. Brothers and sisters, after Elder Rawchaa, we're going to limit the questions to 2 minutes maximum, if that, per question, so that we can get through this. We only got a few more minutes before the broadcast is done, okay? I would like to say real quick, in response of Shapat, real quick, Mr. King, and you are right. We believe that there's good people throughout all religions who are ignorantly following what they think is truth, but they're pure. But at the core of a lot of these religions are falsehoods, such as, of course, you mentioned Judas in the beginning, but also when you look at the 4th century under Constantine, when they began to integrate paganism with Christianity, Satan entered at a high level there. So when Christ says, many shall come in my name, he was saying in the future that many are going to be calling themselves Christians, not Muslims. That many is institutionalized religion that would deceive the people into believing that this is the Church of Christ. So Christ didn't give us December 25th as his birthday or Sunday worship. Now, we can get into many debates going forward, but I think what Shapat was mentioning is that a lot of these churches that we think are Christ are rooted, their foundation is rooted in anti-Christian beliefs and understandings that predates Christ, like the Babylonian temples. All right. So, but real quick, Elder Rawchaa, come on in. We got Rawchaa. We're going to come in after this. Please limit your questions to 2 minutes maximum. We don't need. Okay, this is what we don't need. We don't need comments. If you have a question, come on and bring your question. If you want to have a comment, you can have a comment, but there will not be a dialogue. Okay. Okay, Elder Rawchaa, come on, talk to me. Where you in Jamaica right now?
Yes, sir. I'm in Jamaica still. How you doing? Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, bless you, bless you. We have Zachary King. What do you think about the show this evening? He was dropping some Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs, right? Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs.
I tell you what, Elder, right?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Elder, I actually was listening to the show I was on the road on the car till I got into the house, and I'm thinking that we need to do a part 2, because there was so much information there coming out that we actually needed to zone in on a couple of them and expound. You with me? Yeah. One of the things that good evening, Mr. King.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming on and blessing us with the information and the testimony. One of the things I had heard in the earlier part of the conversation was when you were referring to 2 types of Satanists. One being the atheist Satanist, which is like an oxymoron, and the other referring to the ones who actually believe in a religion, Satanism. Am I correct in saying that?
You are correct.
Yeah. So my question was, and I think I think that the elder and Brother Shapat were alluding to it before. I was going to read the scripture with Elder Rawchaa had quoted it, referring to Matthew the 7th chapter, when Christ said that many shall come in my name. And
Matthew 24.
As a matter of fact, I was going to read this scripture here, Matthew 7 and 21. As a matter of fact, let me start at verse 13. This is the one I wanted to get here. When it says here, enter you at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go on in threat, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Verse 15 reads, says, beware of false prophets which come in sheep clothing, but inwardly they are raven wolves. And let me jump down to verses 21 here. And it says here, verses 21 reads, Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Verses 22, many will say in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have we cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Now, the question I was gonna ask in as it relates to that, when you said that you were being initiated into a coven, I'm assuming that was a church that was set up as a mainstream church. Am I correct?
No, it was a satanic coven. It was blatantly a satanic coven. That was its function. I understand that the works that they were doing were satanic, and you found that out as you were in it. But I mean to the public, how were they presenting this to the public? Because if people knew openly that that's Satanism, I don't think they would actually run into it. What was the guys that they were using the cloak in where they could trick people to come and leave their children there to be babysitted and so on and so forth? In the first coven that I belonged to, it was kind of a youth center. It was a place you could come and get counseling, you could come and get food, you could come and get babysat, you could come and watch movies, listen to music. You could get tutoring for school. It was a quote-unquote cool place to go. Parents could drop off their kids and go to work, or kids could go there and not have to worry about, being home alone. My second coven wasn't anything like that. My second coven was more adult-oriented, and everybody knew what it was.
Well, that's why I was saying to you that I was using the comparison of what you said earlier. That there's two types of Satanists. The one that is the atheistic Satanist, and the other which is straight out in the religion. So it sounds to me that the one that you were a part of at 12 years old, that you were initiating into, was a normal youth center operating within society, but really Satanism at its core. So I think that that would fall under the guise of atheistic Satanism. Sorry, atheist Satanism, where what they're doing there is more covert, more than the others, or is that the one that's more open?
Well, they were the second one was definitely more open, and the first one was very covert. And we used to have we had members of my Baptist church who were also members of my Satanic coven, and they would take us away sometimes during the summer for like the weekend, and they would tell our parents, we're going to a Baptist retreat up in North or South Carolina, and we're going to be there for a few days. And the reality is that we would go sometimes we'd stay in the state of Florida and go shoot pornography, and then come back after 3 or 4 days, and my parents would just think that I'd been in a retreat.
So let me ask you this, Mr. King. what are the signs, like today, right now, in our modern society right now, right, in 2016, that I could look for, seeing, a youth center set up in my community, wherever I am living right now, and identify that, you know what, I need to be as far away from that place as possible. What are the signs that they push out there for me to find that, so I don't drop my daughters off there swimming. I don't want my children playing with the children that go there. Things like that. What are the things I should look for?
You will know them by their fruits. I mean, if my parents would have looked into some of these people, and I believed, even as being a child, I could pick up on stuff where I would think, why do my parents trust these people when they don't adhere to, like in the Baptist church, you can't drink or dance. But at this place, they had alcohol, and they listened to music, and the children danced, and the adults danced, and it was a regular thing. I mean, you have to look at, a lot of what Satan does is that he breaks down your core values and gets you to accept things. That's why we have 57 million dead babies from 1973 to now, is that he has gotten people to accept that you're not killing a baby, you're scraping some tissue out of a woman, and it's no big deal, it's just some skin cells. People that are anti-alcohol, if their religion is anti-alcohol, they get you to accept drinking. They get you to slowly deteriorate what your core belief system is. So you need to look at what the behavior, if what's going on there, and ask yourself, don't ask yourself, is this okay? Like, could I accept this? That's not what you need to ask yourself. You need to ask yourself, would God be okay with this? Because many times if you look at would God be okay with it, the answer is no. And then when you start looking at what God would not be okay with, you start noticing a bunch of things God would not be okay with, and you realize this isn't where I want to put my child.
That's true. I mean, why I'd ask the question like that is more so to say, if anybody runs into this broadcast, right? I mean, I'm very, and the listeners here, part of the church, we are very versed as to what's lawful and what isn't, right? But why I'm saying this, because it seems to me that these organizations are operating basically in plain sight, all right, and until one goes into it, one really does not know what's going on behind the doors. So, and I'm sure that if your parents knew that you were smoking cigarettes every day and dealing with alcohol and surely pornography, I'm 100% sure that they would have removed you out of that, and there would have been a lawsuit or something going on. But I'm more looking at okay then. What are the? Is there any symbolism? Is there any dress code? Any secret, handshake that go on at the front that you can see that people who are within the occult or occultic would see and recognize it and go, okay, that right there is somewhere I can go. Like, for example, I remember we had an interview a couple of years ago on this very radio station with another ex-Satanist by the name of I think it was Bill Schnoebelen. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Well, Bill Schnoebelen said to us on the radio that there were certain places in the world that they would tell them to go to if something ever happened to them whilst in that something bad and they needed help. One of the places that they were told to go to was the Church of Mormons that he had put out on here. You can actually go back and archive that show and listen to it. I think we did it about 4 years ago, right here on this same platform. And we have interviewed high priests, witches, and warlocks, and they have said similar things of things hidden in plain sight that the average Joe wouldn't know. You understand me? And that's where I was leading to. Okay, is there any symbolism or rituals outside of a place that deals with Satanism, that if we see that, we can identify and go, yo, listen, let's not go there. And I'll lead it and pass it back over to Elder Rawchaa. And thank you very much, Mr. King, for your time. And I'm sure we'll get to do maybe another show with you again.
One of the symbols that a lot of people don't realize is I don't know if you're familiar with the Hail symbol, the Hail Satan symbol, which is your two middle fingers folded down, your thumb over those, and your pointer finger and your pinky finger up. Seeing that on a poster or on a sign drawn on something is a symbol that there's Satanists nearby, or that is a safe place for Satanists to go. A large heart, a drawing of a large heart with a smaller heart inside of it, is a pedophile symbol. They're actually in America. There's an ice cream company that has that same symbol. I don't know if they are intentionally telling people that, or if they just don't know. But I think it might be Good Humor ice cream. But the large heart with the small heart inside of it is pedophilia for girls, I believe. And then there's another symbol of it's a rainbow butterfly, and a rainbow butterfly is child pornography for males. And these things, sometimes you'll be just driving by someplace, and when you normally see it, you don't think anything of it. But now that I've pointed it out, you need to look for these things.
Yes.
Also, the way that, when you pick your child up, if she says something or he says something, pay attention, because kids will say stuff to you and expect you to know exactly what they're saying, even though we may not have any clue what they're saying. They're going to put it in the language that they know to say, not necessarily in the language that we know. And sometimes they're telling us exactly what's happening. They're telling us what they're seeing. And if you don't realize that, this is what they're saying, you could be missing out and taking your child someplace that you shouldn't take them.
Hey, Zachary, we're about to open it up for more of the calls. Only 1 minute per call now. Zachary, it's interesting that you've made that correlation with that heart. Hold on, Gaja. With that heart in a heart symbolism. I don't know if you know about this. Jane Seymour has a new heart collection where it's a little heart in a big heart. And it's being rolled out for this so-called Christmas. Would that be an example of pedophilia, or the symbolism of pedophilia in plain sight without people even understanding what that is communicating?
Yes, but it doesn't mean that she's a pedophile. It could just mean that she likes the symbol and doesn't know what it means. Or someone could have presented it to her and said, why don't you promote this? And she's agreed to it, not realizing what she's doing.
Well, that would be, we would hope that she don't know what she's doing. But it's deep that you mentioned that, and I'm noticing how that's being promoted on all these jewelry stations and all these commercials for jewelry during the same time as Pizzagate and everything else. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but it's just something I want to put out there, because I didn't know until you just mentioned that a heart within a heart is a symbol for pedophilia. These are the things we're talking about. A lot of people need to know that this exists, even if it's worn by someone ignorantly or innocently. Someone can look at that and be like, well, I don't know. Maybe they don't know what it is, but I'm going to really keep my eye on this particular person, right? So, all right. So these are the things we're talking about: making it aware, having us know how they're working in the dark against us, what they wear, what is the symbolism, and that's good. All right. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're limiting this, to about a minute and a half max per question. Shoot right now. Please be very efficient with your questions. We have our distinguished guest on the line right now, Mr. Zachary King. Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, and you was mentioning, someone just got a message here, that your mother is Puerto Rican, and your father, I would take it, he's white.
He was Czechoslovakian and Choctaw Indian.
Okay. Okay, yeah, all right. All right, 316 area code. All right, come on now. You hear Gathering of Christ, GOCC Radio. We have the 316 area code. You have 1 minute. Talk to us. Okay.
Sound like they're having a
If you're
party
not
at the
ready,
house.
oh, it's fine. If you're not ready, we're going to the next call, okay? 248 area code. Been on hold for a while. You're here with the guest, Zachary King, from the 248 area code.
Shalom, family. How y'all doing tonight?
Blessings and shalom. How are you? You've been in for a good while. The floor is yours.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. I'm not sure if this question was answered already. I had to step away from my phone, but I wanted to know what particular importance does the star symbolism play within Satanism when you got the pentagram and the hexagram?
Well, the pentagram, the more important, okay, in Wiccan religion, they do they're more into the regular pentagram, so it'd be the 1 point up and 2 points down. They believe that protects them. But I mean, you're talking about you're going to draw a satanic symbol on the floor and then get in the middle of it. How much protection are you expecting? It's kind of like coating yourself in gasoline and then lighting a match, thinking that somehow that gasoline kept you safe.
Right.
Yeah. The other one, the inverted pentagram, is a blatant satanic symbol. It usually represents human sacrifice, and then there's a lot of other demonic things that are associated with it as well. And that is blatant Satanism. You know, the other one is more of a covert Satanism because the people that are using it, the people that are using the pentagram believe that it's keeping themselves safe. They don't believe that this is a harmful symbol, and they believe that, you know, yes, if you turn it the other way, then you're a Satanist and you believe in the devil, but they don't. And it's also a lot of pagans. You know, the hexagram, and as well, there's there are neighborhoods, usually not, I would say upper middle class neighborhoods, that will have a star on the side of their house somewhere. And if you look at it, it is an inverted pentagram. But it doesn't look like it because it looks like something you just bought at Home Depot and put it up on the side of your wall. Right. It looks innocent, but it's like Satan hiding in plain sight.
Now, could you expound on the hexagram, the six-pointed star?
The six-pointed
star. Okay,
I'm
gonna have them answer that. Yes, and I'm gonna have them answer that question in queue. Okay, so we can get to the next one. Thank you, brother. Okay.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right.
Shalom.
Okay, you was
Go ahead.
Okay, you can answer his question. He's listening on the hexagram. I mean, on the six-pointed star. What significance is that? And I think it's in whatever magic or whatever they're dealing with there.
In the hexagram, the reason for having it is the name implies, hex. The hex is the strongest magical spell that a Satanist has. When you're using the hexagram, you're generally used with a pentagram. An inverted pentagram would be used with it. The inverted pentagram would be on one side of the room. Your hexagram would be on another side of the room. Now, remember also that, as I said before, there's thousands of different satanic cults around the world. So some satanic cults would use a hexagram. Not all would. Some of them use the inverted pentagram. Again, not all would. Some of them believe in doing spells and hexes and black magic. Not all do. There are satanic cults out there that just do sex magic. That's all they do. You know, so just because, you know, you see something and you know this is used in satanic cults doesn't mean that they all believe the same thing. Even within a satanic coven, that they do a particular type of magic, everybody in there believes something different. It's just like if you talk to 10 members of a Baptist church, they're all going to believe the Bible somewhat differently. Not everybody's going to believe everything the same.
Okay. Well, that's, some good points, Mr. King. We only got a few minutes before the show ends, so please make your questions brief. We only got a few moments. Shapat, Mark, you said, I guess you had an added question to what you said earlier, but just make that quick. You can give it to me. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Quick question in response to the many denominations in Christianity, which there are, and they are so-called, what's the word, Protestant. They protest against the Catholic Church. My question was in response to all these denominations protesting against the Catholic Church, and the idea, I suppose, of the fact that there's so many denominations, therefore, how can they be correct? With that notion, what do you think about the denomination of the Roman Catholic Church called the Society of Jesus or the Jesuits? What's your take on the Jesuits?
There are a lot of bad Jesuits. That's true. But there are also, in every religion, there are bad apples. Is the Jesuit organization bad? I couldn't judge that. I know that, yes, there are bad, just like every barrel of apples has some rotten ones. But that's every single religion has rotten apples in it. So, whether the entire organization is bad, that I can't say, because I've known some Jesuits that didn't seem like bad people. But just like, you can go the opposite way with Islam, that there are horrible Islamic people, and then there are good Islamic people. And I can't judge the entire religion. I mean, obviously, they don't believe in Jesus, so, they've got major dings against them, but, not everybody that's Islamic is bad. And it'd be wrong of us to lump all of them into the same bad category.
Okay, that's a fair assessment, I suppose. Did you ever look at maybe the oath that the Jesuits actually take in order for them to be Jesuits?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, that's something that probably we need to look into, right? All right, let's get...
Yeah, I can go look at that when we're done.
Okay, that'd be great. We have someone from the 610 area code. Okay, we have Mr. Zachary King on the line. Would you like to ask a question?
Now, everything was 600.
Okay, I don't know what's going on there. All right. All right. Okay, 502 area code. We have Mr. Zachary King. Okay, how are you? You're on the air. Okay, they dropped. All right, coming quick. All right. Okay. You're live on the Blog Talk Radio. We live with Zachary King. Do you have a question? I guess not. All right. 954 area code. All right. All right. Okay, do me a favor and make sure you're not listening. I'm having feedback. If you're listening to the radio when I bring you in, I'm going to have to put you on hold, okay? We can't feedback. It's interrupting the broadcast. Do not have it, have your broadcast going live while listening. 267 area code. Use headphones, please. Turn your radio off. 267 area code.
Do you have me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I wanted to know what you thought about Kanye West, who's running around saying that he's under a spiritual attack these days, and got up there and did that major rant exposing the so-called quote-unquote satanic side.
Kanye has been under some spiritual attack. Kanye has been under some spiritual attack for... Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Kane.
Kanye has been under some spiritual attack for some time because Kanye believes himself to be a god. He believes himself to be Satan's left-hand man. He has developed his own religion and has rewritten the Bible of sorts. So, Kanye is a little off the rails as far as his religion goes. And, if he's revealing secrets I would think that his life is probably in some kind of danger. But knowing Kanye as the person we know him as, he always seems to do something that makes it so that we're all talking about him all the time. So no matter what he does, no matter what crazy thing he does, whether it's jumping up in an awards show and telling somebody, your music sucks, Beyonce should have won, or, telling somebody else, your video's stupid, and this is why I think so, or this, he got his wish. We all think he's institutionalized somewhere. For all we know, he's still living in his mansion, laughing because here we are on a radio show that's got nothing to do with Kanye West, talking about Kanye West.
That is a good question, because there's out there, and now this could be in the conspiratory realm, where they're talking about the Kardashians and their connection with dark magic and witchcraft and all that, but there's no proof of that. But we all know what's going on in the music business, all in all, especially if you said that you were a part of the Illuminati. So, like I said, we're going to have, listen, I'm going to tell you, you've been through so much, Mr. King, it seems as if, based on your experience, you can pick one, we can pull one of your year experiences out of the hat and make a 3-hour show on it. But, man. Okay, we only have 90 seconds before we go into overtime. I'll tell you what, if you hang up, you will not be able to get in, but for the respect of the show, I'm going to keep the people in. Just stick with me a little bit, Mr. King. We're going to give about five or six more calls, and then we'll probably schedule another show in which we'll outline the show, because you have so many things. We'll be jumping all over the place. So, but man, what a spiritual packed show. Much information that's out there that would have our brothers and sisters aware of the devices that are operating within the earth, Satan's devices. And through Christ, we know now the truth, and the truth will make us free from Satan's impositions. We have a few more questions, and then we'll wish you all Godspeed. All right, here we go. If you hang up, you will not be able to get back in. 909 area code. Okay, you may have to listen to your answer in queue. Okay, 909. Talk to us. See, you slow your blow. Come on now. 240 area code. Come on now. Time is dwindling. Shoot. 240.
Going once.
Oh, I was just listening.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll tell you. Hey, I'm fast. I'm fast. Hey, my trigger finger on the mouse is very itchy. Right, it's itching right now. It's twitching. Come on, 717. Talk to me. 717. Come on. Lord have mercy.
I'm gonna guess that these people have amazing questions, and the devil doesn't want them to ask. The devil doesn't want a good answer going out over the air.
Something is going on. Something's going on. All right, 407. Come on, you've been on here 21 minutes waiting. Come on now. 407. Talk to us. This has never happened before. Somebody bring in the Alfred Hitchcock music. All right. All right. 857 area code. Okay, you're on Blog Talk Radio. GOCC Radio, talk to us. All right. I'm going to give it 2 more shots, and then that will be our cue. Okay. 518 area code. Play it. Here it comes. 518 area code.
518 what?
Okay, you have a question for Mr. King.
Is that me?
518.
Me?
Yes, you.
Wow, I didn't even prompt to come in. I'm just listening.
Okay, what do you think about the show?
Oh, wow, the show is definitely amazing. I mean, everything that he brought out, I've been listening since 5 o'clock, and traveling while I was listening. I didn't hang up not one time because just the truth that he's bringing out is it's amazing, and it's shocking, and it's sad. But I give him the utmost respect for just saying the things that he was involved with. Praise the Most High, he's no longer involved in those things. But wow, it was a really good show, and I thank you. I thank everyone. I thank you all for having the show.
And I'll tell you this. Let me have your name again.
Moza from Albany.
How are you doing, Sister Moza? I'll tell you this, and I thank Mr. King also personally and yourself for coming on and hearing. And let me tell you, a lot of us don't know that this exists, and you wouldn't believe how many times I muted my microphone as he was dealing with his testimony. Like, what? I can't believe this. Like,
right.
This don't happen. You understand? So the whole deal is, it's time. It's time for us to get more informed. I mean, I know myself. I'm going to sit back. And I study. I go into the Bible all the time. But I'm going to, right after this show, I'm going to listen to this back. I mean, you can't, because you can't make none of this up. What, Mr. King, you cannot make this up. It's like, what? What? Your parents doing what?
Right.
Where were they? What were they doing?
Right.
What were you doing? Where did you go? It's like,
and,
I'm like,
and
you know
one
what?
more thing, Elder.
I'm gonna go ahead. And guess what? We need to make a video of this. Let me tell you, make an audio of this, make MP3s of this, burn it to CDs, and give it out to people who don't have computers. Let them hear what's really going on, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'm
hearing you.
I truly believe what he's saying, because I've been doing research myself and coming across the Pizzagate thing. One of the sisters in the group chat posted a video on Hillary, and there's this satanic priestess, I forgot her name. She has a picture with Jay-Z. She's really wicked, and just...
Yeah, she does the spirit cooking.
Yes. I don't remember her name. It's a weird name, but I was just watching a video on that one of the sisters posted, and I had my mouth open the whole time. Like, it's just the codes that they use, and they're getting really crafty with, with their, how to deceive and, hide things from us. And it's just really scary. And I just pray that the Most High really protect these children, and people really watch their children and what they do, because it's really scary.
Exactly. Thank you, sister. It seems as if they place themselves in the authoritative or in these positions of trust amongst our children. We can't be naive, and I thank you, Mr. King, immensely for your testimony. And hey, God, are you back with us? And I have Gaja back there, and we have one more call, and then after that we'll end it. We'd like to thank you all for listening, and of course you can support the Blog Talk Radio Show, and if you have some help so that we can further this information and do this, we do accept help as far as donations are concerned. You can reach us at gatheringas1@AOL.com. And also we have the Academy coming December 25th, so please get in while you can. Last call, and then we're going to give Mr. King, our distinguished guest, the last word. 646 area code. 646, New York. How are you? Lord have mercy. I tell you what, that sounds like a non-vaccinated child. Thank God. Thank the Most High God. All right, 646 area code. Okay. How are you?
Shalom, Elder. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm on a winning team. Okay, the
Yes.
Most High in Christ.
This is
I'm on a
Sister Shirley
winning
from
team.
New York. This is Sister Shirley from New York. How you doing? Everybody good?
How are you? Oh,
always
this
well.
Friday. We're going to be there for the end of the Holy Day. The Feast of Dedication will be there this Saturday, and soon
That's
we're going to
fantastic.
make some more announcements. Okay, talk to us.
That's fantastic. All right, well, you know something? I don't have a question, but my goodness, this show, I'm not sure I can sleep tonight. You know, it was just too much. You know, this information. You know, you just starting to look up things after all that, and it's like some of this stuff, brother King, I think you say your name is. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, Mr.
You're not a little nervous with all this information. Does it make you a little nervous out there bringing it? You know what I mean? Just asking.
You know, if somebody is close enough to attack me, they're close enough for God to touch them.
Praise the Most High for that. I'm so glad to hear you say that. You know, because sometimes it feels, you know, a little hard out there, but we do have to recognize that the Most High is taking care of us. And, you know, we pray for the elders for the same reason, That is a powerful, powerful ministry, brother, you know. And just the other day, somebody sent me something on Kanye West and how he's all up in the hospital and, you know, with these things that are supposedly wrong with him and that his wife has been through so much with him. You know, sometimes you don't know whether to believe what's going on or what's not, but you do know that they're all involved. They're all in the same bed together, you know. So, all right, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank you for coming on and bringing all that information. And, you know, Elder, we always enjoy the show. Always, always.
Hey,
so you
never know. You never know who's going to be on this show.
I know.
What you say, Mr. King?
I said my pleasure, and thank you very much for listening.
All right. Shalom, family. All right.
Shalom, and bless you. And may Christ be with you. Yeshua be with you. Oh, all right, Mr. King. Of course, what we do for our guests, we give you the floor. Okay, and then, of course, we're going to contact you based on the fact that, if you look at this, we're in overtime and we still have things ringing off the hook, but, hey, this is one of those shows. You know, no one wants to let go. There is, I would say, flabbergasted as I was listening to it. And I thank you for your time. The floor is yours, and then after that, we'll end it with a song. And we'll see you again, you brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth, protected by the Spirit of the Most High God in Christ next week. Talk to us. The floor is yours, Mr. King.
All right.
And
Ministry.
in case you didn't, I'm sorry. In case you didn't know, you were speaking with my name, and I like to just keep it, to myself. But my name is Elder Rawchaa of the Gathering of Christ Church, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Okay, I don't know if you ever been interviewed.
It was a pleasure speaking with you guys. I mean, your show was a lot of fun. Not every show is a lot of fun. I get a lot of conspiracy theory type shows that are interested in me, and they're not interested in the salvation side. They're just interested in the crazy satanic stuff, but they don't want to hear the salvation part. They just want like a good story. But All Saints Ministry is not a fear-based ministry. We are not out here to tell you that there's this boogeyman out here that's hiding behind every corner. The devil's behind every corner, under every shrub, and under every rock. But what I do have to tell you is that he's around possibly every other corner and under every other rock, and I can't tell you which ones. You do not have to fear him, but you do have to be cautious of him. If you raise your children in Christ, if you raise your children to be godly, there are so many things that you will not fall victim to or fall victim of if you are embracing God your entire life. There are ways to stay safe. My parents claimed to be Christians, but they never went to church. I saw my parents in church one time. I got baptized when I was like 11 years old. And that's the only time I saw my parents in church my entire life. And my mother had grown up Catholic, converted to being Baptist so she could marry my dad. What that meant for her is that she went to church every day when she was Catholic, and when she converted, she never went again. And there's so many people, adults, that, you need to lead your children by example. You cannot tell them not to smoke and then you smoke a pack every day, because you're giving them permission to smoke. You can't tell your children, don't watch pornography, but you watch it, because that's permission for them. You can't tell them not to get drunk and you get drunk. And you cannot tell them you need to go to church and you stay home. That's not going to work. When you wonder why your children aren't in church, look at yourself. Are you in church? You got to raise them to love Christ. You got to raise them that these are good things. Also, when you're doing that, don't ever tell your children, your punishment today is that you have to read these 5 books in the Bible. Because if you punish them with Christian things, they're going to associate Christian things with something bad. No one wants to do something as punishment. If you got to make it a reward, then make it a reward. But at least take the punishment aspect away of what we're talking about. And my final point, none of us would be afraid if a complete fool or idiot walked in the room. None of us would fear that. You look at it and you know, that's an idiot. Who has to fear an idiot? Nobody. You have the knowledge. The devil is like a barking dog on a leash. If you don't step into that leash length, he can't tear you up. You stay close to God, he can't get you. You love Christ, he can't get you. He is the idiot in the room. He's the fool. When he walks in the door, pray to Christ, pray to God, pray to the Holy Spirit, and know that's the idiot in the room. Don't fear the idiot. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you, Mr. King. We'll be reaching out with you very soon so that we can actually outline a complete show on certain aspects. There's so many things that you have to bring, but we touched on all parts today. But of course, if it would be, if it's in your schedule, we would like to invite you back in probably a month or so. All right?
Oh, of course.
Well, bless you. Well, bless you, and may the Most High in Christ guide you going forward.
Thank you.
And brothers and sisters, we'll see you soon. You're welcome, my brother. Shalom. Praise the Most High.
Amen. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Jeremiah 44:10. They have not humbled themselves even unto this day, nor have they feared, nor walked in my law, nor in my statutes that I set before you and before your fathers. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will set my face against you for evil, and to cut off all Judah. St. John chapter 13 and verse 20. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me.
Dealing with my issues, same thing running through my head every day, the same old issues. Know that they won't listen. Every time I open my mouth, they say he's crazy and dismiss it. Help me, Father, I'm struggling. Lord, send me a messenger that'll help me out with my problem. Said I'm all alone with my issues now. Anybody know what I'm talking about? My issues, my issues, oh my issues, oh my issues, my issues, my issues, my issues, my issues.
It ain't easy when you first wake up and everybody else still sleep. The same ones you was raised up with misunderstand you when they sleep. When that phone alone will ring, nobody knocking at that door. And it get back to you, he done lost his mind. What's wrong with him? I don't know. He just came up over my house. He was disrespectful and rude. Said my furniture was idolatry. You wouldn't take a plate of my food. Everything was about that Bible. He was difficult to speak to, telling us we ain't no Africans. He thinking we the Hebrews. everything that's been our life. Talking bad about getting vaccinated. I hope the kids are alright. Used to keep up with his clothes. Now I don't know what he wearing. Strings hanging off his attire and that thing he wrapping his head in. Seem to think he better than everybody, like he ain't never seen religion and drove a brother nuts. Don't even know that book only for white men. But I say what I be saying to edify. It's not an attack. How the book only for white men when everybody in it is black.
Dealing with my issues, same thing running through my head every day, the same old issues. Know that they won't listen. Every time I open my mouth, they say he's crazy and dismiss it. Help me, Father, I'm struggling. Lord, send me a messenger that'll help me out with my problem. Said I'm all alone with my issues now. Anybody know what I'm talking about? My issues. Oh my. 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 My issues.
Same way they did Enoch. In the same way they did Noah. Warned them all the way that flood came. Then he latched up that door. Same way we warned you about this thing the Father gon' do. He ain't even asking no questions. 1 minute cool, when the next minute boom. And I'm digging deep in myself every day, just trying to become worthy. Looking around at all of my family, your friends thinking it's a game and it hurt me. They look at all of my diligence and chalk it up as being militant. Like every time you come around, you talking all of this silliness. But I love them all, hit my knees for them all, praying mercy under their ignorance. Even though I know what the scripture's saying, I know why you ain't hearing it. OT 4 and 6, second address 8, 1 through 2. Yeah, he made this world for many, but the next one only for a few. 500 million people on earth, and he only saving thousands, cause you putting everything before him. You wake up and go to sleep clowning, slide down the slippery slope, constantly taking turns for the worst, thinking everything a coincidence and can't see y'all people been cursed. Now pay attention.
Dealing with my issues, same thing running through my head every day, the same old issues. Know that they won't listen. Every time I open my mouth, they say he's crazy and dismiss it. Help me, Father, I'm struggling. Lord, send me a messenger that'll help me out with my problem. Said I'm all alone with my issues now. Anybody know what I'm talking about? My issues. Oh my. 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 My issues. Oh my.
Matthew 10:14. Whosoever shall not receive you nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Mark 6:11. And whosoever shall not receive you nor hear you, when ye depart thence, shake off the dust under your feet for a testimony against them. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Luke 10:11. Even the very dust of your city, which cleaveth on us, we do wipe off against you. Notwithstanding, be ye sure of this, that the kingdom of Ahia